Hey everybody, it's Josh. I wanted to talk today a little bit about the things that keep us from God. The reasons that a lot of people choose not to believe in God in general or in Christ. And often it is based on either lies, we are told, by others who choose to not believe in God, or it is based on these false perceptions and based on the original sin. Now let me explain that. The original sin is when the devil came down and tempted Eve and Adam to eat the forbidden fruit off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, in Genesis 3:5, the devil told Adam and Eve, "Your eyes will be opened. You will be like God if you just eat this fruit." The reason God is telling you not to eat the fruit off this tree is not because he's trying to protect you. He's telling you this because he doesn't want you to have his knowledge. He doesn't want you to be God yourself. And man, how badly does everyone want to be their own God? Want to be king or queen? Want to have complete autonomy over our own destiny, our own lives? It is part of our nature. We absolutely do not want to be ruled by anyone. We do not want to be enslaved. And then when we are enslaved, because ultimately we all serve someone. And when we do not serve God, we are serving the devil. Even if we don't think we're serving the devil, even if we don't believe in the devil, he doesn't care if you believe in him. He doesn't care anything about that. All he cares about is trapping you in the same hell that he built. Now, I understand that when you're in hell, you want others to be there suffering with you. You want others to be stuck in that hell. It's why many alcoholics, when I was a big partier and drinker, I used to, along with all my other friends, there would be someone who decided, no, I'm going to stop. And there was one friend who he was going to always stop and start going back to church and start living a good life. And we'd all laugh at him and shame him and mock him. Or there was another one who would stop and he would try to get into shape and make something of his life and get straightened out. And we would laugh and shame and mock him. Why? Because we cared about him? Because we cared about either of them? No. I tell myself I did. I love my friends. Even the friends I no longer speak to. We did this because we were on a dive straight to hell. And how dare you not be on that same road to hell that we're on? How dare you want to leave me alone in the pits of darkness? It's just who we are. We have so many conflicting emotions. We have so many conflicting strings and threads pulling us in different directions. And that divine nature, it is so hidden. It is so hidden from us. Yes, we feel at times, some of us, many of us actually, but many of us ignore it, this beckoning figure, this beckoning from somewhere beyond, somewhere far from where we are. What we don't realize is it's God, it's Christ, and he's standing right next to us. And he's waiting. He's got all the patience there is. He lives outside of time and space. He doesn't need to worry about sitting there and, oh, I'm getting impatient. He knows if we're going to come around. He knows when we're going to come around. He knows if we're going to answer the calling. As I always quote, many are called, few are chosen. But we don't know what it means to be called when we're in the calling. We don't know what it means to be drawn in. I want to read a verse from, John 10. And I want to explain how beautiful I think this verse is. Well, let me stand up here. I was just taking a little break and sitting on a rock here. Okay. Now, the Jews gathered around Jesus and they said to him, "How long will you keep us in suspense? You are the Christ. Tell us plainly, are you the Christ?" Jesus answered them, "I told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name bear witness about me, but you do not believe because you are not among my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one." Now, I've read this before. I read it last night and I printed it out so I could bring it out here. And today, not until today, did it really hit me how beautiful that is. So Jesus is doing all of these works, performing all these miracles, healing people left and right, walking on water, turning water into wine. And people are hearing about this, but they do not believe until they understand and are told. People have to be told. People have to experience things in the physical reality. And Jesus says, I've been doing all these works. I've been working in your life, in you, whoever you are watching right now. He has been working in your life. Do you recognize his works in your life? Do you see his works in your life? If you are still seeking or not yet serious about your faith, then probably not. You probably don't understand at all. But an even deeper issue to think about is when Jesus is healing the blind man. And they come across the blind man and the disciples ask him, "Rabbi, Rabbi, is this man blind because of his father's sins or of his sins? Why is he being punished like this? Why have you cursed him to make him blind?" Jesus said, "You don't understand. This man isn't blind because his father's sins or his sins. This man is blind so the good works of God can be shown through him." Shown through him. Now think about that. Do you think that your suffering and your pain in any way reflects the good works of God? If you've been born again, you most likely do. So few have been born again. And that is the reason I come out doing these videos. That is the reason I try to talk to you as much as I can every day. Because just because I've been born again doesn't make me better than you, doesn't make me I'm the holy chosen one. I am still a humble servant, but I am eternally grateful for the gifts God has given me. But you look at my life and you say, what are you talking about? Gifts God has given you. You're disabled. You live right above the poverty line. You have had deaths and people unliving themselves or whatever. I'm trying to get around the YouTube. Not allowed to say the S word for taking your own life. Had miscarriages. Both of my parents and my uncle are very, very sick. Might not have long to live. Both of my dogs, I'm surprised they're still going right now. One of them has a lump the size of, it's bigger than a grapefruit and a softball now. It's bigger than that. I don't even know what to compare it to. Almost like a coconut size now. Growing off his side, his leg. The other one has bumps all over him. Neither one of them can barely get up the steps, especially at night when they're all achy. All of us hurting, but I have to get up there. And each one, as they go up, we have 2 sets of steps. We have a split level house. I have to put my hand under their chest and help them up. You say, what are you talking about? Good works of God in your life. What are you blessed with? Yeah, you've got 2 beautiful children, for sure. That's a blessing. But man, are you giving them a good life? You don't have money to give them all the stuff that they want, all the things they want to go and do. My oldest has wanted a horse for so long. There's no way I'm even close to being able to buy her a horse. So we try to spend $60 every month or every 2 months to go and do horse riding. It seems like I'm living in the depths of hell. And when I was living the good life, when I was having so much fun, I was in perfect shape. I weighed 185 pounds and I was ripped, man. I was pure muscle. Pure muscle. I was a good-looking guy then, man. You can't tell now, but I was a good-looking guy. And I was having so much fun. Yeah, I would exercise a lot to keep that shape up, but I would go out partying and traveling around, going to concerts, listening to music, different girlfriends every couple months. Just living it up. That was what life was all about to me. And really, deep down, I was empty. Sure, I had that self-confidence and that adrenaline and the endorphins were pumping to make me feel good. But I was empty. And I noticed it when I was dating, just briefly. I barely even was talking to her for very long. I was dating some girl and she was older than me. And she went to work at the school, my old high school. And she started asking around all the teachers about me, and they're like, oh, Josh, well, he's interesting. You have to understand, the whole point of my existence was to be the class clown, to entertain people, to make people laugh, to make people smile. And some teachers loved me because of that, and some hated me. They despised me. Because I was disturbing their class or not listening to what they were saying, or you know how it goes. And she started realizing, man, this guy, he works at a lumber yard and he's delivering pizzas and man, he really just doesn't have it figured out in life. I realized she'd already figured out what she was doing with her life, but I had no clue. I wanted to be a writer, but I wasn't good enough to be a writer. My writing was, I could get a good story in every now and then, but it was just uninspired. And for a writer, for as much as I've written, I still have horrible grammar and misspell things. Thank you, spell check. Thank you, AI editing, I guess. I don't even know how to use it, but I will be probably using it when I do write my book. If that's God's will. But man, I did not have a thing figured out. And so when I met the woman, the girl who was eventually going to be my wife, and I instantly fell head over heels for her. I was like, man, am I really just going to be doing these odd jobs and trying to scrape by for the rest of my life? I need to get a real job. I'm not qualified for anything because I didn't finish college. I don't really have any skills. I'm strong, but that's not a skill. It's just manual labor. So my best friend, he got me a job as a maintenance technician, a computer technician. And I didn't know a thing about computers, which was... And finally, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to make a career, make a living. I'm going to support a family. I'm going to live the American dream. Working a 9 to 5, which ended up being more like 7 to 11 at night. It was like crazy hours, crazy long hours all the time. Working a steady job, getting a steady pay, being able to go and travel, go into the Gulf of Mexico and I was just thinking about a John Mellencamp song for some reason. Vacation down at the Gulf of Mexico. They think they're living it up, right? Pink Houses, I think it was what that song was called. So I thought I was living the good life. I thought I had it all figured out then, because that was what was missing. I had been in good shape. I had done all that, and that didn't bring me fulfillment. So I needed to get my act together, straighten up, get a job, go out and start doing what I'm supposed to do and be responsible. So I did. Did that bring me fulfillment? What do you think? But I'll tell you what, it brought me enough fulfillment to when, I'm thinking it was about 8 years of doing my job. And I started actually doing really good at it. Won Technician of the Year one year. I was so proud of myself. I was like, I tricked them, man. I don't even know what I'm doing, and I won Technician of the Year. But it didn't bring me fulfillment. But when I had my disability, oh man, it was bad. It was so bad because I was like, no, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to work again. And that was the only thing giving me purpose in life. You know, I didn't have kids yet when I was disabled. And I was like, am I not going to be able to have kids? How am I going to bring kids into a world where I'm disabled? My wife, she still works, but, I'm sure she's going to have to raise the kids, do most of the work because my back is so bad. It was worse in the beginning for sure. I wasn't walking around as much and exercising as much because I was fresh out of the surgeries. But it wrecked me, gave me this emptiness, and it just kept coming back to haunt me in every situation, everywhere I went, thing I did, every stage of my life. Haunted by the ghost of emptiness. And so it kept getting worse and worse. Of course, you contemplate ending your own life. But really, I just wanted something natural to take me. So at least my kids wouldn't have the shame of their father taking his own life. And I'd seen that happen before with my own father-in-law, so I was not ever going to do that. It is the most selfish thing you can do. It is the worst thing you can do to everyone. It is cowardly. It is awful. But I understand it. I understand completely. I understand because we lack that meaning. We lack that purpose in life. We lack the love. We lack the hope. What is there to live for? Absolutely nothing. My children were born. It gave me new purpose. But as I explained in a live stream I did last night, and that purpose deteriorated when I realized I am only living for them, which means I am putting my expectations onto them. So when you do that, the only reason, my reason for living, my children or my wife or my whoever, you're putting all of that weight onto them. So as I was saying last night, so not only do they have to grow up and try to find their way in the world, which, I told you how hard it was for me, but they have to satisfy my purpose in life too. So I'm living vicariously through them. You're going to bring me meaning, so you better do good, or man, it's going to be extra bad. And that would be crushing. If my parents would have been relying on me to give them meaning in life, and when I was disabled, and then I let them down so badly, it would have taken everything. I probably wouldn't even thought about it. I probably would have just ended it right there. So I was an anchor on my children's legs, pulling them deeper and deeper. And I knew I wasn't doing it then, except for my wife and I were angry and always just miserable in life. We would yell at each other for no reason, screaming at each other. In front of the kids, not in front of the kids, it didn't matter. Because it didn't matter, because they were going to have to accept the fact sooner or later they have two miserable parents who have been cursed in life, and they're probably going to be cursed too, so they better just live with that fact. How awful is that? But then, when the two pillars of my life, my parents, when my dad had a heart attack and my mother was partially paralyzed from a stroke, it was dire. I was finally desperate enough to go out and just talk to God. And I did not believe, I've told you this over and over, I did not believe he was even listening to me. I did not believe he was answering me. He would ever answer me. What would he want a loser like me for? And when he answered me within minutes, in the most profound way I could possibly imagine. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, it was everything to me. It finally filled that void that was within me. It finally filled that emptiness. And to read Jesus Christ and his beautiful teachings. I mean, talking to him out here in nature is one of my favorite things to do. I think it may be the most important thing for me because that's where I found him. But how do I get to know him better? How do I get to know him intimately? I have to read the Gospels. I have to read the Scriptures, the epistles, the prophecies. And when he told the Jews and the Pharisees that no one is going to snatch my children out of my hand. No one is going to snatch them away from my Father. It touched me so deeply. It's one of those verses. You read it a couple times and you don't see anything. Or maybe you see something, but you don't see how beautiful it truly is. You don't see the deepest wisdom and how lovely that message is to us. When we give our lives to him, nothing will tear us apart. They will never, ever tear us apart. Okay, everybody. I was going to come out here and do a live stream. I might still, but I wanted to talk to you about that because I was thinking about that on the way over here. It resonated in my head since last night. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. I love you all so much. Please check out my other videos, subscribe and like, I guess. I got to start saying that maybe. I don't have to, but if you like my video, if you want to hear more from me, please. It doesn't even matter if you like and subscribe. Just reach out. Let me know what you're struggling with. Let me know your testimony. I want to hear from you. I'm going to start, I promise you at some point, I'm going to start bringing people on to my live streams. Have a panel or something. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'm absolutely, I'll take your information down and send you a link when I get it finally going. You all have a great week. God bless.